Excusable that he has not been briefed and he can't speak to it.
And what's worse, a president not having all the information he needs to make a legitimate comment, so he holds back in the moment before being ready to make a comment, or, I don't know, willfully lying to the American people about the condition of the President of the United States, which went on for 4 years in this country by all of your colleagues.
Totally wrong. That is totally wrong. That is totally wrong.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. You already know what time it is. Scott Jennings is back in action, dropping truth bombs and dismantling a panel full of clueless Democrats once again. I've got 2 clips lined up for you today, and the first one is pure madness. They've now got Roy Wood Jr. sitting in regularly, because apparently what this circus really needed was some watered-down comic relief on top of the nonsense. In this clip, they dive into Donald Trump and the Signal app.
The President of the United States has spent his first 2 months in office trying out a new tactic to not answer questions from reporters. The tactic, feign ignorance.
I know nothing about it. I did not. I know nothing about that.
I don't know when it was signed because I didn't sign it.
I don't know anything about Signal. I wasn't involved in this. I wasn't involved with it. I wasn't there.
Nothing classified was shared.
Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm not sure. You'll have to ask the various people involved. I really don't know.
Have you been briefed about the soldiers in Lithuania who are missing?
No, I haven't.
I don't know.
Wasn't me. He wasn't involved in the Signal thing. He was not involved in it.
But there's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know.
Well,
How is he supposed to know about it if he wasn't involved in it?
Seriously, I do think that the fact that the President of the United States was not briefed on 4 missing soldiers, I mean, having been in a White House, that is something you would brief. So I don't know, maybe Mike Waltz was pretty busy those last couple of days, but somebody should have briefed the president on that. I do think it's like just a little odd that he says he doesn't know anything about things that he's actually supposedly signed. Maybe he signed it via AutoPen or something else. But he definitely has he has signed proclamations, and then he says, I don't know anything about that. That is also a serious problem.
I'd rather have him act like he doesn't know about something, which I'm sure he probably does know about some of this stuff, than not talk to the press at all. I mean, he's the most accessible president that I've ever seen in modern history. I mean, your boss never talked to the media ever.
Look, I totally hear the point. People should talk to the press a lot. It's just you're not actually conveying information if you don't know anything about anything going on.
I would rather the president just get on TV and say, I don't know, than as opposed to some of the other stuff that he's said in the past when he's pretending to know. So just say, I don't know.
But maybe he should know some of these things.
I'm saying he should know.
Can I just go back, though, from a security perspective? He probably, especially on the soldiers, he probably knows. But by the way, that's still an active national security issue for our military. So he probably can't, to his defense on that, he probably can't comment on it.
Okay.
Or shouldn't until you have all the facts. That's the thing about being the president is, when you go talking out of your ass, things happen. And so maybe you shouldn't. Maybe it's
Or he
smart.
could say, presidents like President Bush or Obama or others would have said, I'm aware. I'm not going to say anymore because it's an active issue. That's what they say. He said, I don't know what you're talking about.
I
That's a different thing.
that he could tell you exactly how many woke professors are in the country, or how many boys is playing girls volleyball, or how many quote-unquote illegal aliens came in yesterday. He focuses on what he wants to focus on, and this ain't one of them.
All good things to know, by the way.
Just saying, he may be making some of that shit up.
So selective ignorance, you're saying?
I've used it to my advantage many times.
Just like selective hearing.
The Signal thing is interesting, though, because from the very beginning, his ignorance there seemed to be deliberate. He was not on that Signal chain, but the idea that he didn't know about it when he was first asked about it, and the extent to which he doesn't know, seems rather deliberate. Yes?
He wants to be associated with things that are positive. That's who Donald Trump is. And that's what makes him a communications genius. And I use the word genius when it comes to communication, not public policy or public welfare. But he knows how to communicate. And when it's negative, he's like, what, me? Don't know nothing about that. Let's talk about some tariffs or something that's good for somebody.
If he didn't know and he didn't have the facts or he hadn't been briefed on it, what is the alternative here? To go out and make something up or to say, I don't know. I haven't been told. And my understanding is he didn't know about it. He wasn't on it. Maybe he wasn't even aware what Signal is. It is not inconceivable that the president, I didn't see the timestamps on these questions, didn't actually have enough information to comment publicly at the time on any of these matters. It's not out of the ordinary for a president to hold back until they have all the facts or all the things they need to know to make a legitimate comment.
Or what would be more concerning, and I think this might be more concerning with the soldiers, or they're not telling him and they're not actually sharing information, or they worry about what he'll say, so they preserve it. I think this is a deeply kind of disturbing thing on basic information. On some political issue, I totally understand. I can even understand perhaps plausible deniability about Signalgate. But I think on national security issues, like issues where soldiers are possibly lost, it is pretty inexcusable that he has not been briefed and he can't speak to it.
And what's worse, a president not having all the information he needs to make a legitimate comment, so he holds back in the moment before being ready to make a comment, or, I don't know, willfully lying to the American people about the condition of the President of the United States, which went on for 4 years in this country by all of your colleagues.
Totally wrong. That is totally wrong. That is totally wrong.
I hope you read all the books that are coming out. I hope you read all the books that are coming out.
Joe Biden, when asked about soldiers lost, was briefed and said it. And so you think Joe Biden had problems? At least he was able to do that. What's the excuse for Donald Trump if he's so capable?
I'm just saying.
I mean,
you guys
I don't know if you're a judge.
That Trump is exhibiting some, I want to get more facts, and I'm going to be lectured by the people who lied to the American people about the condition of the president.
Oh my God!
No way.
No, but
not going to take it.
That's first of all, that's outrageous.
Is
That's
it?
outrageous. Yes, it is.
You think the truth was told? You think the truth was told?
I will say.
Did the White House tell the truth?
I will look forward to this discussion.
Do you all believe the truth was told about Biden?
Scott, do you want government or do you want your lick back? Because even if all of that happened in the past, we're in the present now. So we need a president that is capable.
And so what? He said, "I don't know." What did it hurt your life that he said, "I don't know"? One time,
Biden did it. Biden did it.
Sure,
Biden did it.
I can.
You cannot write that for 4 years.
I absolutely can.
The country to move forward.
I 100% can.
You cannot.
Biden wrote it for 4 years on Trump, and Obama wrote it for 8 years on George W. Bush. You're damn right. We were right.
It's just a little inconsistent to say it's wrong with one and the other. That's the point.
I'm just saying.
It's just
it
the
seems like
point.
selective outrage to me to say, well, we're worried about Donald Trump not knowing.
I think all of us who've ever met or been around Donald Trump knows that if somebody would have told him soldiers were missing, and if he would have been briefed on that, and then a reporter asked about him, because he does this with every other thing that he does, he'd have went, we're going to find them, we're going to kick whoever's ass is messing with them, and we're going to burn everything down around them if they don't bring them back right now.
Well, then he should have been told.
I mean, Trump.
I'm saying, we know that's how he would respond if he knew about
then
it.
he should have been told.
Trump would then start blabbering some of the secrets on the back. We're going to find them. We're going to get them SEAL Team 6s in there. Right now, they're in a Black Hawk helicopter. It's at 300 feet. It's going in longitude. And he would say too much. So maybe you can't tell me.
That's a little worse if they're not briefing him because he would spill the beans. Then we're in a...
It's almost laughable. Like Scott pointed out, after 4 straight years of gaslighting the American people and the world, they still had to force Joe Biden out. It took a full-blown coup to end the lies, and right up to the last second, they were clinging to their go-to lines. Remember the fan favorite? He's as sharp as ever. Yeah, okay, now they're scrambling to explain the whole Signal app situation. Trump came out and addressed it head-on, said the conversation should have happened in person, behind closed doors. But they didn't. He owned it. Promised it won't happen again. Launched an investigation. And who's digging into it? Elon Musk's team. Say what you want, but if you're looking into tech, that's who you call. Here's the difference. They took responsibility. Something we never, ever. Let's rewind a bit. How many cops lost their lives during the Blom riots? Not January 6th, Blom. And not a single one of those so-called leaders stepped up to condemn the violence. Not once did they say, hey, maybe we should stop burning cities to the ground. They lie about Biden's condition. They buried the Hunter laptop story. They covered up the lab leak theory. No accountability for the botched Afghanistan withdrawal either. So no. You don't get to lecture us about integrity, responsibility, or anything else. All right, let's move on to the next clip.
There is a groundswell of excitement with Democrats. You can judge one special election against another. It's not the November election, and Donald Trump won. Donald Trump carried all the battleground states, but two things can be right at the same time. And that is right now, 2 nights ago in Pennsylvania, there was a special election for a state Senate seat that Donald Trump carried by 15 points that the Democrats won in a special election. That's just one election. There's a Florida election coming up Tuesday night and a Wisconsin
Judge's
Supreme
race.
Court coming up, and you're going to see a groundswell there as well. The Stefanik race is a 60-40 Trump race. She won it handily, he won it handily. And if they're worried about that congressional race because they have a slim margin, so they don't want to give it up, and they think she can strongly carry it instead of somebody new, if she's there, think about all the other races that didn't perform as good as hers, and there's 128 races that didn't perform as good as hers that you have to get to before you even get to her, so there's an opportunity there if they're worried about this safe red seat.
I'll tell you what has surprised me in the reporting is they're not just concerned about keeping that slim majority in Congress if she vacates the seat, if the seat is open, that they are actually nervous about, in a special election, losing that race.
Right, and
there does seem to be genuine fear.
And in upstate New York, we should say this about New York and give Republicans credit for this as a Democratic strategist. Republicans did better in New York and California in the last election than they ever have done.
Yes.
So the thing was moving in the right direction, but 2 Democrats flipped Republican seats at the same time, 2 Democrat from Republican.
Here's something that's true right now. I think you would acknowledge this. Democrats have a turnout advantage in special elections, off-year elections. Democrats turn out for these things more than Republicans. Now, Republicans turned out well for the presidential. We did great in 2024, but we have seen instances over the last few years where Republicans just don't get up for these off-cycle elections. And so, it makes a difference. And so the political strategy here is absolutely correct. Elise will win easily when she runs for re-election next year. She's terrific, by the way, and politics is a team sport, and she's a team player. Trump's the party boss. He made the right call. It's tough for her, and she earned this position. I hate it for her, but it's what's best for the party, and she did it.
It's tough for her. It really sucks for her. I mean, she gave up her leadership position
done a farewell
in
tour.
Congress. She's doing a farewell tour. She doesn't
And
have
all
her
her
committee
staff.
posts.
She doesn't have the
Or
committee.
staff.
She doesn't
Anything
have.
about
Yeah,
staff,
she
that's even
left.
more horrible.
All of her staff.
Right.
She doesn't have the leadership position anymore. I mean, you and I both worked with her during their Bush years. I mean, it sucks for her. I mean, there's no other better way to put it. I mean, and she is a team player, and this isn't another cabinet secretary that needed to have, like Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Treasury, and so they need her in the House. And also to pass these bills now, probably in September, in regards to reconciliation, they're going to need her vote.
I mean, let's be clear what happened here. They thought this race would be a cakewalk. That's why they pulled her into this nomination, right? They thought a 60-40 race would be easy to win. And Scott is absolutely right. Democrats have done better in turnout and off years, but not by 16 points from 2 days ago, not by 20 points in upstate, like in a place like upstate New York, which is a pretty conservative place. So I actually think the fact that I've been pretty negative on some of these races, but the fact that they're basically making her do this career faceplant, which is really harsh to her, in order to save this one seat that just a few months ago they thought was going to be easy breezy, that's telling us the ground has really shifted. And I do think it's because of things like we've discussed, the Doge attacks, other things are really motivating Democratic voters.
And apparently Donald Trump, the president, is really mad at Michael Waltz for all of this, even though he doesn't represent New York, because it has to do with Florida. The Florida race, Michael Waltz's seat, which we'll probably say with the Republicans is way closer than it should be. I just want to go back to what we were talking about in the last block in bringing you all back into the discussion. Elon Musk did this interview on Fox News with all of his people at Doge. The one person apparently who wasn't there, the person who is technically, the president swears, running Doge, the administrator, Amy Gleason. We put her picture back up on the screen before. She wasn't part of that group interview with Elon Musk.
She didn't know that the meeting was happening. Maybe she's not in the Signal chat.
Or maybe Doge got to her. I mean, maybe she hasn't found out yet that her job is gone.
That sounds like some fraud that someone should look at.
But it is interesting that they all sat down there, and the person that legally, I mean, they've been in court, the Trump administration has been in court saying that she's running it, that she wasn't there.
In the White House, there's a chief of staff. Her name is Susie Wiles. There's also a press secretary, Miss Levitt. Levitt speaks to the press every day. Susie doesn't. Does that mean Susie is not in charge of the White House? Not everybody does PR. Not everybody does communications. And so I don't know what she does on a daily basis. I know what the documents say. I know Elon Musk is the spirit animal of this thing. And that's the person people need to hear from. And this team that he's brought in of geniuses, people need to hear from them too. I agree with what you said earlier. It's good PR for them to go out and talk to the American people operationally about what they're doing. And he's largely viewed as the godfather of this effort. Talk to the press.
We have heard from this godfather spirit animal for the last 2 months. Where is Amy? I want the supervisor.
Would that make you happy? If we brought her out here?
Yes, he out there with the chains on
Would
the
you
West,
would you
Amy.
then say,
Well,
this is a great idea?
Amy, if
Would
you're
it help you?
watching this, Amy, just I'm gonna hit you in the signal chat, Amy.
Who
Just
knows what is
show
happening
up.
with this woman? Let's leave her alone. We have no idea what's going on in
could
her
be
life.
working right
now.
We have no idea why she's not on. Like, this is what's the problem with our country right now.
It's just a show game.
We want to
I'm not
find
in
out
charge.
what
I'm not in
signal
position
chat
to
she's listening.
These people are completely out of touch with reality. Just like Scott said, not everyone craves the spotlight. Not everyone needs to be front and center in the media. Some folks do their best, most important work quietly, behind the scenes. Take the crew over at Doge, for example. They're not chasing clout or camera time. They only step forward when it matters, when the public needs to hear what they've uncovered. And honestly, if you're not blown away, shocked, or straight up disturbed by what they found, I don't know what will move you. Yeah, we knew there was fraud. We knew corruption ran deep. We've all seen the reckless government spending before. But this is a whole different level. The scale of corruption tied to USAID is unreal. We're talking about systemic abuse of power and money on a scale this country has never seen. And the craziest part? No one's being held accountable. Not a single person behind bars. That can't stand. If we keep exposing fraud this massive and nothing happens, what's the point? If it's fraud, then someone needs to pay for it. If you got value out of this video, make sure to smash that like button. It seriously helps the channel more than you know. And if you're a regular viewer but haven't hit that subscribe button yet, maybe this is the one that earns your click. Appreciate all of you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.